Today I have 10 fragrances that I think are masterpieces and all deserve a 10 out of 10 rating. That means to get that rating, you need to have a really great scent blend, a great set of ingredients used, performance needs to be at least 8 hours, and you need to have great versatility, at least being worn in 3 out of 4 seasons. And then the price point needs to feel fair or really good for the money you're spending. Today's video is trying to explore the less well-known scents, or the stuff that's a little bit polarizing. People like to criticize these scents, but I personally love them. So I'm gonna give you guys essentially my style of fragrances, what I enjoy, but also try to put you onto some more creative scents. I always think it's worth rewarding brands and perfumers when they go into a more creative direction. I think after a while, once you buy the safe foundational stuff, you want the more interesting and risky fragrances. Scents usually become polarizing from their more bold and distinct base notes. So today you're gonna see a lot of leather, a lot of oud, and animalic notes in general. I hope you enjoy. Let's begin. We'll go from least to most expensive in this video, but most of these fragrances are affordable, I would say. Number 1, Rasasi Shuhrah. This is a very good cheapie. If you smell it off the lid, you can tell this is a lot higher quality than the price tag suggests. Usually you can find this for about 20 pounds, 25 bucks, and it's a very interesting, mature, distinct, very masculine, leather aromatic tomato leaf fragrance. If you want leather and synthetic oud in the scent, but very aired out, very airy, ozonic, but at the same time it has this hint of ashiness, you get a very interesting fragrance in Shuhrah. You can tell that the tomato leaf is there to give that hint of greenness. It's a very unique fragrance. It smells a little bit Middle Eastern, but not as Middle Eastern as you would think. Actually, I think this can be appreciated from anyone around the world, but the style is polarizing. However, I do still think this smells more pleasant than I was going to expect it to be, because I heard a lot of bad things about this online, so you get a lot of polarizing reactions. But overall, I think actually a lot of people will love this. Definitely a style for a more mature man. So if you're a more mature guy looking for a really great value, distinct, unique cheapie, try Rasasi Shuhrah. And by the way, I get 12 hours longevity with a medium to loud projection. This stuff is beastly. Encre Noire à l'extrême. This is a classic line in general. Encre Noire line is famous for being a great value line. I think the Extreme is the best flanker out of all of them, although I have not tried the Indigo, I have to be honest with you there. But Extreme is a masterpiece in my opinion. It smells to me like you're in a small tavern in the middle of the dark woods, reading an old dusty book, getting this dry woodiness from the tavern, some darkness from the leaves, from the patchouli in here. This smells crisp, clean, dry, and dark. You need to like a dark, dry vetiver and a dark patchouli in this fragrance. This is definitely a patchouli scent. It is a very artistic, cool, and extremely well blended fragrance. If you want an artistically merited fragrance as a signature, something that's very different and unique, that lasts around 12 hours with a medium projection, Encre Noire Extreme is one of the best cheapies I've ever smelled. It smells easily a lot higher quality than the price tag suggests. 32% of people who watch School of Scent are subscribed to us. If you guys want to see our channel grow, to really help us out, click subscribe. Let's get that number to 40%. Thank you. Moschino Toy Boy. Now, you know I often say on the channel that this smells like a niche fragrance in a designer bottle. I think it's a shame this gets a lot of hate. Not too much hate. It still has, I think, a rating of 4.05 on Fragrantica, something like that. I think what puts guys off this fragrance is the fact that it's a rose overdose. A lot of men are not used to wearing rose, but as a rose fragrance, I think it's super well done. It's green rose mixed with some spices, some musks, very clean, sharp, a little bit soapy. It lasts 12 hours with a medium to loud projection, wear this all year round. As a signature, this is super creative. Apart from maybe really formal occasions, I think this pretty much works in any environment, which is super useful. I think the scent is great. I think it's super creative. And as I said at the beginning of this video, I want to give Moschino their props for being so creative, taking a risk. I think they did great with this release. YSL Kouros. Now, what can I say about this fragrance? It's a bit infamous, isn't it, really? Everyone knows Kouros, if you've tried it in the store anyways. The fact that this is an 80s cologne that still stands the test of time and is still available to try in YSL department stores goes to show that this is a classic. It has that 80s old school, clean lavender barbershop DNA. and then mixed with a lot of fecal civet. It's not a lot of fecal civet, but it definitely has a hint there. Probably a bit more than most guys are used to nowadays. This has that old school masculine ruggedness that didn't care about using higher doses of civet. Civet as a base note can give a really beautiful touch of amber actually to a lot of fragrances, but when you use high amounts that they have here, it gives that fecal effect, because civet as a note naturally, this is probably using, I'm almost certain they use synthetics now, that naturally comes from the anal gland of a civet animal, so that's why you get that effect. However, I think Kouros smells super masculine. It smells like a boss. It does have an old school feeling, but in a way where you are trying to give a tribute to that era. If you enjoy the times of men being big, muscular, burly, mustached, not caring about what people thought of them, and you want to go back to that time, to that era of being super masculine and rugged, this is the kind of fragrance you wear. You have to rock this with confidence. I think this is a masterpiece. I think the blend is complex, beautifully done. It is such a cool style as well. I love it. It gets me 10 hours with a medium projection as well. Great fragrance, great signature, definitely worth trying at the very least if you're a collector. Dior's Fahrenheit. Again, an 80s powerhouse that smells amazing to my nose. It smells like a classic to me. Gets bad reviews on Fragrantica, but I don't know why. I think it's very good. I can understand if you don't like a particular style, but it doesn't mean it's a badly done fragrance. This is one of the best blended fragrances I've ever smelled to this day, in the design realm at least. And it has a very beautiful, distinct DNA. A lot of people don't like the fact that this kind of gives off this fiery petroleum effect, but that's the whole point of the release, the DNA. It gives it that distinct, timeless factor. I think this is a really cool signature, again, if you want to smell super masculine, but at the same time, I do think this is safer than Kouros. Definitely worth trying. If you want a fiery, leathery, slightly green signature that makes you smell like a rugged man, once again, if you wear leather jackets, this works great. If you're a professional suit-wearing CEO, it also works great. 10 hours longevity, medium projection, a classic. Chanel's Antaeus. Now, similar to Kouros, this uses animalic notes, but instead of civet, you have castoreum, which comes from the nutsack of beavers. So that's different. Animalic, leathery, softened out with some rose in here. This has that lavender barbershop effect, also sweetened and softened out by the myrrh in here, so it's a bit ambered out. This is a beautiful dark signature. If you want to smell dark, masculine, rugged, more safe than Kouros, probably actually just a little bit more safe than Fahrenheit as well, actually. But again, it's a particular style. You have to try this out. If you're a collector, you can't be a serious collector without trying Antaeus. It's a masterpiece. You want to smell dark, you want to smell masculine, and you want something that just smells super impressive by how well it's blended. It's very artistic. It comes from a different time when fragrances in general might have been better blended actually in general. I feel like this era had more thought in their blends. There's probably more complexity. It probably took more time to come up with releases. 10 hours longevity, medium projection. Once again, I'm not making up these performances. That's generally how these fragrances are performing on me. It's a great, great signature most of the year round, apart from the summertime. Dior Homme Parfum. Now, there's going to be a lot of Dior Homme Parfum fans that are shocked that this is on this list, but I do think, yes, if you appreciate this scent, you're going to give it like a 14 out of 10. This is a beauty. This is unique. Again, I don't think a lot of guys will like this though, due to the fact that this is not sweet at all. This is, again, more modern, but at the same time harkens back to a time when men's fragrances just did not have sweetness. It didn't have stronger with you molecules in it and didn't have all this amber and things like that. This is manly, leather, and iris, a powdery dark leather fragrance that just screams masculinity, maturity, professionalism. Again, this is a signature that you have to rock or else it will wear you, and it lasts easily over 12 hours, probably lasting into the next day. This is a very long lasting fragrance with a medium projection. It's not as easy to understand as Dior Homme Intense, but it still has a special place. I will definitely keep this in my collection all the time, whilst Dior Homme Intense, I wouldn't mind as much if I had to get rid of that, but I'll keep both of them in my collection. But I do love this. I think this is underappreciated. Marc-Antoine Barrois Encelade. Most people, when they think of Marc-Antoine Barrois, they mention Ganymede. I actually think Encelade is overlooked. It's not an easy fragrance. It's the kind of fragrance that it knows what it's trying to be, and you either like those notes or you don't. It's very sharp, thick, piercing, attacking. It sort of attacks you actually, is the best way to describe this fragrance, with things like tonka bean, thick tonka bean, with a lot of sandalwood, rhubarb, and vetiver. Sharp, rhubarb, creamy sandalwoods, creamy tonka, and I think a lot of people give this hate due to the opening. These notes attack you at the beginning. You can pretty much see that they're all base notes actually, and I think they need time to calm down on your skin and allow this fragrance to become more smooth and creamy. I love a good sandalwood fragrance. Sandalwood is one of the best base notes in perfumery in my opinion. Thick, woody, creamy perfumery with sandalwood. And I think this just does a great job of being a sandalwood scent. A great signature you can wear most of the year round apart from the summertime. Over 12 hours longevity with a medium to loud projection. A really cool creative scent. I think more people should give this another chance when they try it. Naughton and Wilson's Bon Viveur. So this fragrance is from John Stephen, who's also one of our perfumers for Atrium, and it has his style. John Stephen creates a very traditional, gentlemanly English style, I would say. So you have to be a little bit more mature. I don't think this is polarizing in the air when other people smell it on you, but it gives off a certain style that's not for everyone. You got to be regal, gentlemanly, mature, and you need to love a nice complex fragrance. It's better if you love fragrances like Fougères or the more old school styles, but you want something that's more modern and sort of revives that style into today's time. Bon Viveur to me smells like a green, spicy, ozonic gin and tonic is how I would describe this. Clean, crisp, airy, professional, a fantastic office fragrance that gets me so many compliments. I keep telling people on this channel, if you want compliments, go 4 sprays of this stuff, last 8 hours with a soft medium projection, and see how people react to you. And lastly, Chanel's Coromandel. Now this fragrance, I wouldn't say is super challenging, but you need to like certain notes once again. I actually do think this is the best from Chanel's private line. Maybe sort of similar in terms of how great it is with Le Lion as well. I really like Le Lion from their private line, but Coromandel is definitely my favorite. It is a bright citrus white chocolate fragrance mixed with a lot of patchouli. You need to like a nice heavy dose of patchouli, but it's done in a really bright, elegant way. Lasts over 12 hours with a medium to loud projection, and it's unisex. That's the main thing. So you need to have this appreciation for patchouli, and some guys might say, oh, this doesn't go masculine enough for me. Definitely a fragrance you need to try, but I think for patchouli fragrances, this is one of the best ever made, and it has that beautiful sort of powdery elegance that Chanel does really well, especially in their private line. It sort of just sings off your skin in a really elegant way. I do think both genders can rock this really nicely. I think a really elegant woman can rock this, or a really confident man can rock this. Either way, fantastic perfumery here, a 10 out of 10. And that concludes my video, guys. Do you agree or disagree with my choices here today? Are there any that you think actually aren't that polarizing, or are there some that you agree with my statements and you actually hate them and you don't like them, and you don't think they're a 10 out of 10? What are some other fragrances in your collection that you would say are a 10 out of 10, but other people don't appreciate them, but you appreciate them at the very least, and you want more people to know about them? Let us know in the comments down below, guys. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to check out our previous video on a well-rounded, unique collection if you want more interesting fragrances in your collection. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.